Well, hello again viewers, it's your humble host Taz101 Saga. WGC Shop sent me a lovely gift recently which I received yesterday. Steyr A2 Austrian Boogaloo, known everywhere to normal people as the AUG or AUG, although it's closer to an A1 in practice, despite the box being labelled A2. The iconic Austrian-made bullpup rifle designed in the 1970s and adopted most notably by the armed forces of Austria, Australia and funnily enough, the Irish. Well, I've got to give it to them. They made a better choice than we did, as we're still stuck with this. More on that later. The AUG arrived in the typical GHK styrofoam and cardboard packaging, although I have to subtract a brownie point here for the lack of a GHK silicone oil bottle in the box. Oh GHK, how could you? However, the package does contain a 100-round speed loader, magazine and manual. The GHK AUG looks excellent. The fit and finish is crisp and the build quality is superior to the AEG variants I've handled in the past, namely the Classic Army, Tokyo Marui, Jingong and APS versions. I've always loved the profile of this rifle, with its sleek lines and space-aged appearance, very forward-thinking for a 1970s design, and GHK have replicated the look and feel of the original to a very high standard. Although sadly, the olive drab version no longer seems to be available from the factory, so if black isn't your thing, you'll have to paint or Cerakote the body yourself. Current stock availability only seems to cover the A2 and A3 versions in black. To this date, it remains the only gas blowback AUG variant on the market, although KWA will supposedly be releasing their version of the F90 in gas blowback form, Australia's homegrown adaptation of Steyr's classic bullpup. I'm sure that fielding this rifle will give me the usual satisfaction of a well-performing gas blowback rifle, with the further benefit of a platform that is less represented in airsoft amid the sea of multicam users with their AR platforms. The main benefit of the bullpup format is immediately apparent. The AUG is still significantly shorter than a full-length M16, despite having the same barrel length of 20 inches. A 14-inch barrel would be excellent for indoor use, while still maintaining enough lethal velocity for the 5.56 round in real-world scenarios. For airsoft purposes, the quick-change barrel design is excellent, as the rifle can quickly be converted for indoor use, should you, for example, decide to change fields at the last minute. You don't need to repack your weapon and can simply change the barrel on site. It also makes cleaning a breeze. The rearward weight of the rifle makes it very easy to shoulder in a pinch and remain shouldered for extended periods. The majority of the weight is also perfectly placed above the upper arm for sprinting around with the muzzle pointing forwards. The low profile front end and barrel make it extremely nimble and quick to change firing positions. There is absolutely zero flex or creak in the polymer body or foregrip whilst carrying out said manoeuvres, and despite the light weight, it feels extremely solid. The same cannot be said for this AEG version, which feels rather toy-like in comparison. This brings me to the next major benefit of this particular bullpup. Effective shoulder switching for shooting around left-handed corners is easily possible due to the well-placed location of both the cocking handle, which is non-reciprocating and well out of the way of the shooter's face, and the ejection port. The bolt carrier on the AUG is well receded within the polymer body and has zero chance of grazing or hitting your face while cycling. To further show you what I mean, let's look at an example of this done completely wrong. Remember that thing I mentioned earlier? This is the SA80 A2 platform. Despite being a marked improvement in performance from its unreliable and much hated A1 predecessor, there are still some fundamental issues with the design that make it less flexible when compared to the AUG and many other bullpup systems. A reciprocating cocking handle located directly on the bolt carrier renders an effective cheek weld impossible from the left shoulder. This makes the SA80 design far less efficient when employing modern shoulder switching techniques commonly implemented in CQB situations. The magazine release can also only be activated from the left side, as the rifle is a true right side only design. This is not the case with the Steyr AUG. The entire reloading procedure can be performed from the left side with only a minor loss in efficiency due to the location of the cocking handle. On top of that, the AUG is lighter, better balanced, and far more comfortable to carry in my opinion. Bullpups have notoriously bad triggers compared to conventional designs, so I was eager to compare this one. GHK's trigger has a relatively short travel and a light pull, however, it does not have a crisp break or reset, as to be expected. The safety is very stiff when new. Positions are safe, semi and progressive, which will permit full auto if pulled all the way to the rear with a deliberate effort. The iconic Steyr scope with the so-called donut reticule is accurately replicated here, without crosshairs or other nonsense, which is a nice touch. The glass is decent and perfectly usable, and a designated tool makes adjusting the windage and elevation easier. The crude iron sights on top are also present on this replica. The magazines are constructed from a very solid polymer, weighing in at around only 400 grams, and although not translucent like the real steel, you can always alter the colour to get away from the basic black look. I sprayed all of my magazines in an oregano finish, or as close as I could get to that, based on the advice of YouTube user Explosives Enterprises, who has an excellent in-depth guide on this rifle. The feed lips are excessively tight out of the box I found, which is quite normal for GHK magazines. This can lead to breakages under use if not correctly modified. The easy to disassemble nature of this magazine makes the task easy. Filing the lips down will reduce stress on both loading and feeding, and the nozzle itself. In my initial testing, the last round bolt hold open parts on the magazine do their job very well, as does the bolt catch itself, although I have noticed that the bolt will not release when the rifle is held in strange orientations such as sideways. This can be fixed with the magnet mod. I will talk more about internals and performance in the future, as of course I've not yet had the opportunity to put this through its paces or test it on a range at all. I'm giving it a solid rating so far. Everything checks out and I have not noticed any quality control issues or problems with the 3-ish magazines I have so far run through it. I'm definitely looking forward to fielding this piece when the TNT hop chamber and barrel dropping kit arrives, but until then, have a great week and feel free to rate, comment and subscribe for more upcoming content. Thanks for watching, take care now.